Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, part 3 of the Bank Feeds series, where we will look at importing transactions into your Bank Feeds module. My name is Amy and I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. I'm also going to be on the questions today as well. So if you do have any questions, do pop them across to me. I will try my best to answer them live on the session. If unable to, I will contact you directly via email after the session has ended. For this session, it is booked out for 45 minutes. We may not need that full 45 minutes, so you may get some time back at the end. Please note, you will receive a link to the recording of today's session around an hour after the session has ended. Before we start the session, I just want to cover a little bit of housekeeping. So what you'll see is you're placed on mute when you join. If you do have any questions, you can use the questions panel down the right-hand side. And you can just open that up just by clicking on the icon that looks like a speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. We do also have a handout for today. You can download this by clicking on the button that looks like a little document with the folded corner. It's just directly below that questions panel icon. And I would recommend downloading this as it does have some helpful links to our help centre. And just to make you aware as well, this handout won't be available after the session is ended, so we always recommend to download it live on the session. Just before we get into the session, I just want to explain a little bit more about the Bank Feeds series and whether you've attended any of the other sessions. But we've split the Bank Feeds series into 3 parts. So we've got part 1, which is all about automatic bank feeds, which is where it downloads the transactions from your bank for you. And this can help you, save time, reduce errors, and help you reconcile your accounts more easily. Then we've got part 2, which is all about creating and managing rules and approvals. So this can be used with automatic feeds, but also as well what we're going to be covering today, which is import statements, which we call manual feeds. So Bank Feeds rules does support both automatic and manual. Usually you typically use importing statements, or what we're going to be covering today, when your bank is not compatible with the automatic feeds. But you can use this option with automatic feeds as well, but I'll explain that in today's session. So this is what we're going to be covering on today's session. So I'm going to introduce the import feature that's been introduced in version 30.1. In the demonstration, I'll show you how to import your transactions into the Bank Feeds module, but also as well, I'll just show you briefly how Bank Feeds works and processes as well. Then towards the end of the session, I will then talk about upcoming webinars. Now, just before we begin, I want to launch a poll on your screen there. And I'm just wanting to know, have you attended the previous webinar sessions for Bank Feed series? So have you just attended part 1? Have you just attended part 2? Or have you attended both? Or have you attended none? So if you can pop your votes across to me, I can see those starting to come through now. It's a little bit of a delay. Pop your votes in there. We usually wait until we get around 70%. So I'll just give it a little bit more time there. And then what I'll do is when we get enough votes in, I'll share the results with you. Okay, so we've got around 70%. So don't worry if you haven't voted. What I'll do is I will just share those results with you. I'll close the poll down. Okay, so as you can see, we've got no one who has just attended part 1 only. We've got 17% of you have attended part 2 only. 67% of you who have attended both. And we've got 17% of you who have attended none. So like I say, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Attending any is just fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hide this poll and we'll get stuck in. So I'm just going to make sure I am sharing the right screen. Okay, so let's take a look at what it may look like if you are manually reconciling your bank account. So whether that be through the software or not, you may be accessing your statements online, printing them off, or you may receive them via post. You may have a lot of transactions, so your statements are long, or you may have a few months worth of reconciling to do. And if it's been a busy period, it could lead to a lot of paper on and around your desk. What you'll be doing is be cross-referencing what's in your Sage software. And then what you'll be doing is you'll be looking for the statement transactions and then crossing them off as you go. Now, when you use bank feeds, all of that information is displayed in one place on the screen. So there's no need to refer to your statements or flicker between browsers or PDF documents, then back to the Sage software. You can match the imported transactions from your bank with either an existing transaction that you've already posted into Sage. You can create new ones with a click of a button, or you can create rules to post them automatically. Then once you've matched all the relevant transactions, it will then take you to the normal bank reconcile screen. And all your matched transactions will already be in the match section of the bank reconciliation window. So this process does not replace the bank reconciliation. It's a tool to make your bank reconciliation a lot quicker. So let's get straight stuck in with the demonstration. So let's have a look at the manual bank feeds activation. So manual import of transactions from any bank. So you download a file from your bank, which is just a list of your transactions. So some banks call it a statement. Some banks just call it just a downloaded list of your transactions. And you can import this straight into the bank feeds module, but you must be on version 30.1 to be able to have access to this feature. Now, there's no restrictions of, you have to be on a certain variant. This is available for Essential, Standard, and Professional, but you must be on version 30.1 or above. So you might be wondering, well, why would I use this option? So it might be that an automatic feed may not be supported, but it allows you to still use the bank feeds module for if you have other compatible banks using a live feed. Another reason why you might use this option is if you are using an automatic feed, but some banks only allow you to download the last 90 days. So if you had historical transactions that you wanted to reconcile in the software, make the process a bit quicker, because it might be that your predecessor didn't reconcile within the software. And when you come to do the likes of clear audit trail process, for example, it requires that your transactions are bank reconciled if applicable. So what you could do is you could import your transactions with that earlier date than what the automatic feeds allows you. So like as I mentioned, if you've got those old transactions that are not reconciled, you can import them from your bank, and then you can either manually match them, or it might be that if your transactions are already imported, your transactions already exist in Sage, and then you import this statement or downloaded list of your transactions, the auto match feature may actually detect them as auto match. So then all you have to do is go through and just confirm those transactions. So what I'll do is I'll go through the benefits. So the benefits is that it's got the same functionality as the automatic feeds. So if you were to just solely use the manual option, then you would have that. So you'll still be able to use the auto match and the manual match. You can still create and apply rules to imported transactions. You can ignore transactions. And also as well, if you don't want to use bank feeds rules, you can also use your process your recurring items as well. And like I say, you've got the benefits as you can import from any date range. So what I'll do now is I'll go through the process of how to set it up, and then we'll come through the go back to the slides, and then we'll go through each area. I'm just going to pop to my software. So I'm in my homepage of my bank feeds at the moment. I've got into bank feeds and this is what I can see. So you can see I've already got a automatic bank account already connected. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect bank 1210. So I'm going to click on get started. And I'm going to get this option. So I'm going to go, it's going to give me the option for manual or automatic. Like I say, if your bank's not compatible, then you will click on import statement. So we'll go to this area here. We'll just wait for it to load. So you can see here it's brought up a little window. So it's given us a little bit more information. So it's seamless integration. You can set up bank feeds rules. There's a guided process in terms of you do get pop-up support when you set this up. And also as well, the beauty of this is it might be that your bank does become compatible at a later date. So you don't have to worry about setting up a new feed because it's now compatible. You can actually connect the existing setup that you've got. But I'm going to show you that again later on in the session. If you do need any further support, you can click on the help in the top right anywhere throughout the software as well. You can see it shows. So we're going to click continue at this point. You are presented then with this window here. So it gives you the information here, so the type of files. So we support, and it gives you these file formats. You can also give more information there, so these files can also be identified by the following extension. So it gives you the file types, and then it gives you the file extensions to make it a little bit easier to identify. If you are using a CSV or an Excel document, you may need to amend the column headers or the columns that you've got in that file, and it does give you an import file depending on how many columns that it's the file that you've downloaded from your bank, depending on how many columns it's exported. Then you just click learn more and it will show you how to amend those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select a file. So I'm just going to pop to my desktop and I'm going to get my bank feed import. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you what that looks like when I've got it open, so just bear with me a moment. Okay, so when I've downloaded this from my bank, this is the file. This is what it looks like. So if you're familiar with importing transactions, you know that them import templates can be quite lengthy and there's quite a lot of columns in those. Whereas when you import into your bank feeds, it's much simpler in terms of these bank transactions. So this is what the import will look like. So you've got your date, your bank reference, and then the amount. If I close that down, because we do have to have it closed when we import. So you can see I've added that file there to be uploaded. We're then going to click review transactions. So this has popped up. So this is not popped up usually, but we need to know the dates that are displayed in your file so we can import your files correctly. So it could be that if you've got certain formats, could be if you're using a foreign bank, if they've used a different date format. So we're going to select day, month, year, and we'll click continue. Okay, so you can see here, it's given us the option to review our transactions. So it's telling me I've got 26 transactions. It's given me the date range of the 1st of June to the 26th of June. Then I can go through and I can look through these transactions. So you can see I've got the date, the description. The extra one that's added in is telling me the type. So is it money in, money out? You can see that if it's money out, it's in red. You can also as well, if you want to check all of these and you don't want to flick through the pages, you might want to just add you know, show more items, so then you can see it all in one go. So you can see I've got all of that listed. Also as well, if you find that you know, it's the wrong way around and it should be money in instead of money out, you can use this option here to switch transaction types. Now that won't pick specific transactions, it will do it for the whole file, but it just saves you going, you know, into that document and changing values and things, because with that document you shouldn't really need to change anything. But you know, if you might need to change negative to positive, then you can do that with that option as well. So we'll just click confirm import. It's taking a little bit longer than usual, but shouldn't be much longer. Okay, what I'm going to do is, because it's taking a bit longer and I do want to show you what happens after it's imported, oh, there we go. Just took a little bit longer than usual there. So you can see we've got import complete now. It's telling me it's imported 26 transactions, and then it's done that from the 1st of June to the 26th. So we'll close the window. And that's just refreshing my bank feeds there. So now you can see I've got the downloaded or the imported list on the left, the bank transactions, and then I've got any of my Sage transactions that have been processed already in the software showing on the right. Now, if you were importing, it might be that you might be doing a couple of months, so you might have a couple of files to import. So you might want to then go and import another one. So we've got an import option along the top. We'll go through the process again. But it might be when you select that file, so it might be that you have a long list of your different files, and if you accidentally, you might be accidentally clicking on the same one and you've not realized. When you click you can import without review, but also it might be that you want to review every time, so we'll click review transactions. And what it does is it'll say, okay, you might actually already have these in Sage. Now, it might be a case that actually you may run off a subscription basis. So a lot of your transactions might have the same value and the same reference. So they'll look very similar. So that might be the case of, all right, okay, yeah, they do look like duplicates, but they're not. I'll confirm and I'll import. But it does do that just in case you do accidentally import, duplicate transactions. Okay, so that's how you import into bank feeds. So what we'll do now is we'll pop back to my slides and then we'll go through each area of the bank feeds. Again, if you do have any questions, do pop them across to me and I'll try and pick these up for you. Okay, so bank feeds is a simple process. It can be broken down into 3 easy steps. So that we'll look at each area, and then I'll do a demonstration, and then we'll come back and then we'll go into each one by one. So firstly, we've got that auto match tab. So the auto match tab will show suggested matches. So it's got to be based on any transactions where they've got the same value and the same date, give or take 4 days, will be a suggested match. This will make the process quicker for you if you can then just go in and click confirm on these ones instead of manually matching. Now, matches will be indicated by a green link, so if they are incorrect, you can just click on match and they'll go back into the to be matched tab. So what I'll do is I'll pop over to the software and we'll take a look at what this looks like. Put one over to my software. Now, before we go back into VAT bank feeds, I do want to just quickly mention the settings that we have within the bank feeds module. For your settings for overall, you can find in the top right. So when you're using automatic feeds, you can click to download. You can also choose to download your bank feeds at any time. You can click download now. Then also as well, if you don't want to use the auto match transaction option, you can disable it. It is enabled as default. But if you don't want to use this auto match feature and you prefer just the manual match, you can disable that. You have also got individual settings when you click on each cog within the tile. And if you want to disconnect your bank feed, then you can do it within this setting here, and you can just disconnect per bank. Also, if you're using rules, bank feeds rules, you can also flag transactions that have been created from bank feeds rules as bank reconciled. As you can see, my bank that I've imported, you can tell me it's import only, and it tells me when it was last imported. So we'll pop in. So as you can see, this is the auto matched tab. So you've got the green link where it's telling me it's a suggested match. It's telling me that's money out. And what you can do is you can either confirm or unmatch. You've also got the option as well if you want to add more information. So you might want to add a number. It's a transaction number. If you've got any extra references, and if you've got any extra details, they can show on here. So you can show as much or as little as you want. If you've got multiple transactions, then you can select them all, confirm all, unmatch all. So you have got these options along the top. I've only got one at the moment, but you can see I can confirm selection, unmatch selection. If I had multiple ones in there, I can just click confirm all or unmatch all. And also as well, if it might be like a duplicate that you've already matched manually, you can also click ignore selection. And that will pop into the ignore section along the top where you can view ignored. But I'll come back to that in a moment. You've also got this, I've already talked about that part there. So when you click confirm, it then moves to the confirm tab. And we're going to come to the confirm tab later on in the session. So I'll just leave that there. So I'll pop back to the slides. And we'll move on to the to be matched tab. So once you have confirmed the auto match transactions, you can then move on to manually matching the remaining transactions. So manual matching enables you to match multiple transactions, not just on a one-to-one basis. So it could be one bank transaction to one Sage transaction, one bank transaction to many Sage transactions, many bank transactions to one Sage transaction, or it could be many to many. Once that balance matches, it will automatically move to the confirm tab, as you've seen I did just before with the auto match tab. What I'll do now is we'll pop back over to the software and we'll have a look at the to be matched tab. Okay, so in the to be matched tab, you can see I've got my 25 transactions on the left, which is the ones which were imported. Then I've got my Sage transactions, which are on the right, which have been processed manually in the software. So it could be that you want to match one-to-one. So for example, let's have a look. We've got that 320 there. So I can drag and drop. I can highlight and then click match selection. We'll match that. You can see that's now move to the Confirm tab, and I'll remove that filter. It could be that you want to, let's have a look. Have a look, see if I've got one in here. Okay, so for example, let's just put that one and that one together. You can see now that I've matched that £10 and a penny, that £54. It's part matched. Could be that I want to create another transaction to make up that remaining balance. So they don't always all have to be posted into Sage. You can create them within the bank feeds. So it could be that you want to create the remaining amount. It might be that you want to create, customer receipt. I will then just select a customer. And let's just say we're going to post as a payment on account for now. And you can see now they've automatically moved to the Confirm tab. Might be that you don't have anything to match it with, and you might just need to create some transactions. So it could be this invoice, and this invoice here. Now, if you click create on the tile, that's only going to create the amount that shows on that tile you've clicked create on. If you want to create one for the full value, highlight the transactions and then click create transaction in the top right. That's then going to create a transaction based on the value combined. So you've also got that option as well. So you can create bank receipts, customer receipts, supplier refunds, and you can also create bank transfers. Just a reminder as well, you can also use this option with foreign banks as well, so it's not just banks in the UK and Ireland. To ignore a transaction, as I mentioned, so let's just say we've just got one here. We're just going to ignore this transaction. So then I then go into the little three dots in the top right, click View Ignored. It brings up this window here. Now, because it's an older transaction, we'll do in the last 12 months, in the last year. There we go. And you can actually, you can filter these transactions as well. You can see I've got that transaction there. Go, oh, actually it was ignored by accident. And then you click restore and click close. You can see it's now reappeared in the list. Got a question come there from Jane. Can you also create invoices for payments out? So the bank feed isn't for invoices. It will only show you payments, receipts, and if you need to move money around, so your journals, credits, and your debits, so your bank transfers. So you're not going to see any invoices in here. You'll only see the payments. If I choose a one that's money going out, so let's just say this is a supplier invoice, I can click create, and I can click the supplier payment option. If I do click create transaction at that point, and I don't know if I've got any suppliers with invoices, I do. So then at this point, you can then allocate that payment to an invoice. So it's only for £12.50 at the moment. But what you would do is just like the normal, when you normally allocate payments to invoices, you would just simply click there and click pay in full, or I'm going to take £12.50 off this one, then you can do that as well. So it's at this point that you would create the payment and allocate to the invoice. So it's not going to allocate to invoices automatically. You do still have to do that process. If the transactions you've already got in Sage, like I say, you would need to allocate those outside. But if you're creating the transaction from within bank feeds, then you can allocate it at this point. Okay, so a couple of other things as well. So you've got your search bars along the top. You've probably noticed me using those as well. So you can search using those functionality if you've got quite a lot in there. You've also got that little 3-line menu that I showed you earlier, where you can add in extra details if needed. You've also got these up and down arrows, so you can sort by ascending and descending. So you can, in the Sage side, you can choose your count, reference, your amount, date, extra reference, number, reference, and type. On the bank side, so what you've imported, you can do the same, but slightly different options. So you've got amount, date, default, reference, and type. Again, same as the auto match. If you have a couple selection, you can click clear selection, create a transaction, ignore selection, if needs be. If at a later date as well, you want to connect this to an automatic feed, you've got that option here. And also in this menu, you've got your recurring items. But this menu does appear throughout the different tabs, so it's not just in the To Be Matched tab. You have got that throughout as well. Right, so I'm going to pop back to my slides. And we'll cover a little bit more about the To Be Matched tab. So it's kind of what I've already demonstrated. So we'll pop back. So as I've already talked about, you can see, so if you've got the relevant Sage transaction does not exist, you can create it with the click of a button. Again, if you realised you've forgotten to process recurring transactions, any missing recurring items can be created from within the bank feeds module. You've also got that option to ignore transactions from the bank feeds window. Okay, so lastly, we've got the confirmed tab. So the confirmed tab allows you to review all your confirmed matches, and it also allows you to create rules. From here, you can save and close, or you can save and continue to the reconciliation window. So we'll pop back to the software and we'll have a look at the last part of the bank feeds. So we'll pop into the confirm tab. So we've got some of the transactions that we've already matched throughout the session. You can search confirmed transactions using the search bar here. So on the left, it shows bank transactions, which is the ones that you've imported. And then on the right, you've got the Sage transactions here. You can see some of these options are grayed out. However, if you start clicking on them, they do become available. So you might be that you've matched something in error, so you can just select the relevant one and then unmatch selection. From this point, you can also create rules. Again, I'm not going to go into detail on that one because we do have dedicated sessions on how to create rules. You can also export this list using this option here, and you'll be able to export the transactions that have been confirmed. Now, the options that you've got along the bottom, so you've got save and close. What that will do is that will move what's in this confirm tab to your normal reconcile screen. So it might be that you want to save and close, move these to the reconcile screen, and then at a later date when you are ready to actually reconcile, you would just go straight into your reconciliation window, and then they'll all be at the bottom. Alternatively, if you are ready to reconcile, then you can click Save and Continue to Reconcile. And what this will do is it will move us straight to the bank module, and it'll open the normal little window when you come into your bank reconciliation window. And you can see there now that it's moved all of those transactions to the bottom. And like I say, if you're not ready to reconcile at that point, you can just click Save Progress, and then you can come in here at any time ready to reconcile. We'll just discard that for now. If we pop into the bank feeds module again, I've showed you where you can connect an automatic feed once if your bank does become compatible. That's something that you wish to do, you can do that. I will just repeat where it was again. we pop open into your import bank feed, and then the top 3 dots, and then connect to automatic feed. If you do have an automatic feed, it might be that your other banks are compatible and you wish to use the import feature. We pop into the automatic feed. You can see you've got the import option along the top. Same process applies on how to import, exactly the same steps as well. Okay, so that is the bank feeds import feature. It's giving you more flexibility to use bank feeds when an automatic feed may not be available, but enabling you to still be more proficient with your bank reconciliation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop back to my slides. Again, if you do have any questions, do pop them across for me, and I'll try my best to answer them whilst we're on the session. So to summarise, it can speed up your reconciliation process. It's free to use. You can also set up rules and automate your processing with the option to approve automatic postings, or if you know you're confident and you don't need to approve them, they can be posted automatically. Foreign banks are supported, and there is in-product help and support. And just a reminder as well, per bank feed, you can create up to 300 rules as well, if that's a kind of a route that you're going to go down. I have included some links down the right-hand side, so you've got sage.co.uk/help. We do have the likes of a bank feed hub. What I'll do is I'll quickly show you that as well, just while we've still got some time. So if we're in the 50 accounts help center, if we go to scroll down and we click on working with the bank, and we click on other banking tasks, and then we've got the bank feeds as well. So you can find how to connect your bank if that's compatible, but like you say, you'll be able to get all the support from within here as well. I have provided that on the handout. So you've got the Bank Feeds Hub button on the right-hand side there. That's going to take you straight to that area of the Help Centre. If you have missed part 1 and part 2, you can visit the recordings page as it is available on there. But we do have, it is repeat sessions, so we will be doing more live sessions over the next couple of weeks as well. Just while I wait for any further questions to come through, I just want to talk a little bit more about growing your knowledge. So if you are interested in bespoke one-to-one training on your 50 account software, we do offer various training bundles. So it could be the likes of stock control, construction industry scheme, banking. So if you're a bit unsure and not as confident with maybe like the bank reconciliation process and bank feeds, you could get a one-to-one training session all about banking as well. We do offer debtors and creditors, and also as well if you're looking to upgrade from potentially essentials or standard variant of the software to professional, we can also demonstrate what you'd be getting access to if you did upgrade to professional. For a personalised quote, you can contact our team on Sage, UKI, Sage University at sage.com. Okay, so just the last part of the webinar, so upcoming webinars. So as I've mentioned, we've got the bank feeds, part 1 and part 2 if you have missed those. But we'll also be repeating part 3 if you do have a colleague who may want to attend these sessions as well. We're also doing a session for two-factor authentication. So if you're using bank feeds, it might be worth looking also into two-factor authentication as well, as it may apply to you. The dates for this, so we've got one on the 19th of November, and then that'll be the last one for this year, and they'll be returning in the new year if you would like to get registered for those. We're also doing sessions on filters and quick search, company archive, year end. We're also doing various sessions on the corrections, so get registered for those. And also lastly, we're doing the VAT return series as well, which is always a popular topic. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's session. Please feel free to stay around for a short while if you do have further questions to ask. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. If you could please put any comments, feedback on that survey, we do always look to improve our sessions. So we always do love to read that feedback. Okay, so no further questions have come through. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to you all for your participation today. And just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.